Thank you for the opportunity. Mr. President, distinguished delegates. First of all, Indonesia delegation would like to thank you for the opportunity to taking the floor on the agenda item WTO as a framework agreement and code of conduct for the world trade. Indonesia would like to draw our attention to the outcomes of the 9th WTO Mitra Conference in Bali, Indonesia on 3 through 7 December 2013. Mr. President, distinguished delegates, Indonesia welcomes the outcomes of Bali Conference, which reaffirmed the WTO's role as the preeminent forum for multilateral trade negotiations. The Bali Conference has succeeded to conclude Bali package that will help to bring food security to billions of the world poorest, strengthen world economy, and help the least developed countries to benefit more from the multilateral trading system. Indonesia would like to underline the importance of the implementation of the Bali package according to its time frame while taking into account each country's level of development, capacity, and capability in the process. In this respect, we encourage all co-member states to the expeditious implementation of this multilateral agreement, which also provides capacity building support to developing countries and least developed countries to help them implement the agreement. Mr. President, distinguished delegates, whereas Bali package is a historic achievement in itself, it is just the beginning towards the conclusion of Doha Development Agenda. Therefore, Indonesia reaffirmed its commitment and also encouraged members of ALCO to be even more involved in the process to produce the post-Bali work program, along with many other pending issues in the negotiation. Thank you.
Thank you. Qatar has the floor.
Thank you, Professor Rahmat bin Mohammed and the Secretary General, and also thank you for Mr. Fange, Deputy Secretary General. I just distributed the paper we prepared in the Ministry of Justice in Qatar, and in line with all the distribution of the state member today about this topic, it is about the governance code of the international trade. We focus on a specific governance issue for small economic states. So this trade is this agreement, the trade facilitating agreement, TFA, is an extension of trade issues. Actually, the Doha Development Package was or included a package of non-traded issues. Most of them still in the progress, and some of them have been ignored for the ministry delegation. Now, my focus here, it's actually a governance problem between the divergent interests between developing country and DCLs and the controlling. It is a controlling against non-controlling states. The international trade actually pays an freedom or a free market or international free market, which is based on advantage theory and liberalization of international trade. This formula actually not most of this principle provided in the FTA are suitable for small state members. And I just want to insist that here, most of our members are small economies. And to some, even China is a small economy because its markets are distributed in many different locations. So what I'm saying here is I'm focusing on 3 points: regulation and conference challenge, and efficiency approach, which is different between large economies and small economies. And the third point is about when this FTA agreement become forcible. Okay. come into force. Now, the first one, actually, the agreement, while it's provide many benefits, and many of them are applicable to both small and large economic states, however, it is still is not flexible because it's attained the policy or divergency is not consistent with the domestic regulation activities or the policy of small states, which puts more risk in this and WTO principle. Another thing, this subject have been recognized by also the European community members that the state, small state, should be given flexibility and safeguard for this. So the focus was in the FTA is to develop and to enhance the customer government bodies and to improve their institutional and regulation changes and make this internationally spread. Now, for example, Article 4 provide an absolute right for any applicant, any person, the right to administrative appeal and judicial review without giving any safeguard to local condition of public economic policy of small economies. This is not applicable to small economy, also for large economy. This, when it's given absolute right to this, any person, either domestic or international partner or multinational companies, to have the right to have their own review, it is okay, but some issue couldn't be addressed unless it is consistent with the high priority and policy, goal policy for the economic of small state. Then it's also the courts in many civil law system have a well-established room in administrative law that the court itself gives a space for some decision as a political question or touch a high priority of the small state. The second point, briefly, efficiency approach apply to large economy it is not similar to the small economies. Efficiency approach in large economy in regards to international trade depend on a free trade, liberalization of international trade or open free market at the international level. This is not consistent with the economy because countries with a small economy are characterized by high concentrated market with the high entry barriers and below minimum scale efficiency. So small market is not similar, and also the small market are very sensitive to international trade market. So the efficiency approach is different totally. This can be seen also, for example, just there's a lot of article you can argue, but for example, Article 10 FTA relating to the formality connected with the importation and exportation are based on international standard that with the excessive requirement that very highly designed to save the trade policies of nations with the large economies. So these standards, while they are based on a rule one size fits all, is not necessarily relevant to member with the small economies. It is actually a good example of this is the regulation of competition policy. In addition, there's some major rules stated in the FTA can contradict the policy of small states Small states are usually based on what's so-called associative and disassociative strategy, which combine a free trade policy, what we small need actually need for their market is not available, and a form of protectionism or protective mechanism to protect their small market or local condition. So, for this reason, there will be many provision of this agreement to be find hard to apply. Last point is about retaliation measures of the WTO, dispute settlement body. I just mentioned to the retaliatory measures, it's only one, there's many, but once this FTA come into force by the agreement of 2/3 of its members, then the controlling members will stick to this agreement, which can restrict and seek to subject violating member to retaliatory measures of the DST. Sorry. Mr. President, one of the significant concerns developing country believes is that, and least developed country is that the FTA sitter have established rule in a manner that may ensure government convenience of developed countries rather than meet local condition and regulatory needs of developing country and LDC. So in this paper, I hope this concept I provide, which bases on economy and legal system or regulatory mechanism and politics, governance measures, can be useful for to review this agreement and based on this concept. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. And the next speaker is Malaysia. Malaysia has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. His Excellency Secretary General, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. The Malaysian delegation would like to thank the ALCO Secretariat on behalf of the annual report on the latest development in WTO negotiations in the continued efforts of ALCO Secretariat to keep member states informed. Additionally, Malaysia would like to express that it welcomes the progress and developments which have taken place since the 9th Ministerial Conference in Bali. Indeed, this marks a new step in invigorating multilateral trade among members of the WTO. Mr. President, Malaysia is strongly committed to the expeditious implementation of all the Bali 2013 decisions, particularly each of the agreed timelines for agriculture, the Trade Facilitation Agreement, and LDC-related decisions. Pursuant to the interim peace clause, whereby public stockholding programs for food security purposes that exceed de minimis levels would be exempted from legal action at the WTO for 4 years, Malaysia is of the view that this is only a short-term resolution. The fact that food security is an important issue for a lot of developing countries, including those who are ALCO members, means that it is essential for there to be a long-term solution which would protect and safeguard the interests of both developing and also developed countries. Therefore, Malaysia proposes for the ALCO Secretariat to conduct a study on the issue of food security and public stockholding, which may serve to assist ALCO members in their deliberations at the WTO. Mr. President, Malaysia is also concerned about the current state of work on the Protocol of Amendment for the Trade Facilitation Agreement, or TFA, and is aware that works to implement the TFA have come to a standstill, which has led to the failure to adhere to the 31st July 2014 deadline. It is also noted that this failure is due to the inability of member states to bridge the gaps in opinion to coming to an agreement with regards to the TFA protocol. The failure to implement the TFA as agreed by our ministers on the 9th Ministerial Conference will have grave consequences for the credibility of the WTO as a body for negotiating multilateral trade agreements, as well as the entire post-Bali work program. In this regard, Malaysia is of the view that if steps are not taken to implement the decisions agreed upon in the 9th Ministerial Conference, member states may just choose to focus on free trade agreements in which they have committed to be a party to. Malaysia would also like to point out that separate timelines for different decisions coming out of the Bali 2013 is not synonymous to the thought that certain decisions may be given more of a priority over others. On the contrary, adhering to the purported timeline would demonstrate that we are serious not just about the TFA, but also concluding the Doha Development Agenda. Therefore, as a developing nation, Malaysia holds an affirmative view of the fundamental importance of the TFA in reducing trade costs, increasing transparency, attracting investors, and facilitating our integration into the global economy. In this regard, Malaysia extends its appreciation to Director General Mr. Roberto Azevedo for his initiative on the successful establishment of the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement facility, which Malaysia believes will be extremely useful for member states with concerns regarding accessing technical and financial assistance. In this regard, Malaysia would also like to provide the assurances that measures and steps to ensure that the implementation of the TFA will be in sync with trade practices and law in Malaysia are still ongoing and will be in place when the TFA comes into force. Mr. President, to that end, Malaysia would like to call upon all member states to work expeditiously together in good faith to implement the Trade Facilitation Agreement in order to achieve the goal set during the Bali 2013. Additionally, Malaysia is hopeful that in the aftermath of Bali 2013, the progress of the Doha round of negotiations will not be hindered and there would be continued improvements to the trading prospects of LDCs and developing countries of the WTO. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And the next speaker is Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has the floor.
Mr. President, I think it is a mistake because Sri Lanka has not requested for the floor on this topic.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. That is the list given to me by the Secretariat. Okay, is there any more requests for the floor? Any delegation wishes to take the floor at this stage? I see none. In that case, I consider the agenda item under discussion, WTO as a framework agreement and code of conduct for world trade, closed. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, we have concluded our business as scheduled for this afternoon. However, I've been informed that there are certain amendments coming for the draft resolutions, which are going to be taken up and adopted tomorrow. In order to facilitate our job and to save time, a proposal has come that the delegation would join an informal meeting and select or appoint a facilitator or a coordinator to finalize to negotiate with different delegations and hopefully finalize the draft resolutions. In that case, we will have a very easy job tomorrow. Otherwise, you got to stay here probably to the late evening tomorrow, and I'm sure you don't like to see that. I'm sure that every and each of you would like to be free for some time tomorrow to enjoy your free time. So in that case, I propose to join an informal meeting in order to overcome the disagreements which may have existed on certain resolutions and to finalize the draft resolutions. Is there any proposal on that? Is there anybody who is volunteered to become a facilitator or coordinator. It's a very nice job. Believe me, it's not too difficult. Yeah. I did that job some time ago, long time ago. It was enjoyable. I'm trying to persuade you, to tempt you. But it seems that my temptation is not too strong, Mr. Secretary General. What is your proposal? Okay. Okay, Secretary General endorse what I said. Okay. Okay, my proposal is that immediately after this meeting, you will have a coffee break for half an hour, for 30 minutes, and then convene an informal meeting. And in that meeting, you yourself choose a person who is patient. Yes, the patience is necessary element and a factor rather for any facilitator, and then discuss the draft resolutions in order to overcome those certain disagreements, which are not many, believe me. There are not many, there are only few. And hopefully all resolutions, draft resolution will be finalized, and tomorrow we will have a very easy task to take all of them up and to adopt them. I very much appreciate your cooperation and understanding, and I call this meeting adjourned and wish you a very happy day here in Tehran, or happy evening. Enjoy the rest of the evening. The meeting is adjourned. Yes, it has brought, excuse me, just a piece of information. I just saw that. You know that you have all invited to a dinner hosted by the Vice President, who gave a statement here, delivered a statement here 2 days ago, Dr. Amin Zadeh, and at the sideline of that dinner, it is written here, if I'm not mistaken, there would be an exhibition of carpet, yes? Which would be probably interesting for some of you, if not all of you. Where is the venue? The venue is in the, where is the venue? Oh yes, when they had a summit meeting here in Tehran, they will take all delegations to that place. Okay, thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.